Hi everyone. Now let us talk about the sales. Yeah, the most important part of a business, and that's where we are here today for. How exactly the sales works in Indian scenario, how long it takes, what are the types of customers, what are the types of requirements that you get, how do you manage it, what kind of pricing negotiation happens. There are many ingredients of sales. And being a founder, and especially in the early stage, this is very important for you to understand how this entire sales ecosystem is set up in Indian context. Just by learning the Silicon Valley or an European sales approach will not fly in Indian context. Indian sales has various influences, community, culture inside the corporates, an approach that just acceptable by the system. You have to get into all these points and create your approach and your sales according to it. Right? Now, how exactly this sales process happens? I'll be going to talk about sales cycles, the types of customers that we are going to come across, types of procurement teams that we come across, what are the ways that we can create growth. All this will be discussed in coming videos. Now, I would want to highlight, going by media, thinking that India is the largest market. They say that we are 1.34 crore, 134 crore people, and this is our large market. We are bigger than China as a population. It has nothing to do with you. What is important is to understand where exactly is your target audience. You have to take bottoms up approach, which is you first understand where is your audience, what are their requirements, how do you solve their problem, and how to expand from there on, right? Not going from the top down like have 134 people who are ready to purchase my product, so I do mass marketing, I go everywhere. No, it will not fly. I'll give you various examples. WhatsApp, even they never went across the US to start making their app used or adopted by customers. They targeted mainly a bunch of Russian community, which was always wanting to be in touch with their family back in Russia, and they created this group. And eventually, Russian community started using it extensively and started referring to others. And it became a global app. So that's how you have to understand what is your target, where is your niche, who are those people who will purchase it. Let's say you're selling some luxury items. How do you position your luxury item? It's not again for the entire 134 crore people. They might not be interested, right? Henceforth, you need to find that luxury segment in your market, right? Or maybe you're trying to sell a unit price kind of a rupee of purchase is a big thing for you. Like today, WhatsApp uses that approach. They're selling like one rupee. You can get maybe tomorrow if they say maybe 1 rupee per month. It's a huge money for WhatsApp. You're using it free today. Tomorrow, if they even make 1 rupee, you're already hooked into this app, and you would pay for it, and it's a large scale. I'm not talking about 100,000 or 200,000. It's millions of people are using this application. Right? That is how you plan your pricing, plan your market, not by top-down approach where you have a huge size. This is a large industry. I'll go after everybody. That's not that. Right? And second, you will also have to understand if you're creating a product, which is your target market, right? And again, it might not be very easy for you to make this happen the day one of starting a business. But based on your idea, a rough approach, this will help you. Like, let's say when we started the AI company, we thought, okay, security is our solution. We have to give a security-based solution where we used to detect events as it happens. And we thought, anyone in India would use it. It's not that, right? There are particular segments who are in need of a solution. Who are particular segments, though they don't know they want to buy it, right? So there are so many pointers that we need to understand. So eventually what we did, we cornered the banking industry, and this is where we go after and try to sell it. But yet, it was not an easy acceptance from the industry, right? Then you have to understand who are these people who really sell to the banks, right? Then we found an industry which is called a surveillance industry, and they started selling to surveillance industry, who in turn sells to banks. Then what we also did, we we entered the other way around. We entered to the banking industry, started promoting this kind of technology exists in the market. Why don't you demand your vendors? You see how we are creating a market? If there's no market, create one. That is very important in sales. It's not just blanket sales, you just go and sell. There are some times where you have to create an importance to the customer that this kind of technology is very useful. And though he is not your direct purchaser, he would ask their vendors to sell it. Right? So for example, the banking industry predominantly outsource their physical security of their assets, of their branches, etc. Now, who is the right person who is selling to these banks? He is your customer, right? It's like B2B to B, right? Like your business, you are selling to a business and they are selling your product to the end customer, that is bank. But your focus is on the bank, but the route to that bank is via this kind of players. So understand this very clearly in your sales structure. Also design your sales approach. Now, let's say you're not directly selling to the customer. So what are the issues that you get? You don't know the price, what a customer needs. Even though you have spoken to banks, you don't know what's the cost that they're expecting, because even the vendor might not be ready to pay you the same thing. So designing your flow, designing your journey through all these layers and getting into the market, getting paid is very, very challenging. Henceforth, targeting this segment, understanding how to do the costing. Now, let's say I want to go and sell to a large oil and gas industry. Should I go directly or should I go through partners? Should I go these kind of layers of vendors who are already selling to oil and gas, partner with them and sell my technology, right? So henceforth, sales in India should be understood well. Some of the parts might be similar to other countries, but when you come to a sales approach, the cycle, the buying behaviors of these business houses are very different, right? Even if you're talking to large service companies or you're talking to a large banks or a large customer, their entire buying approach is very different, or it can range from months to years to make a decision on procuring some certain technologies. And especially when you're selling a new technology, there is even more investigation, even more exploration of your technology, understanding what you're doing. They might ask every possible questions to make themselves comfortable that they are not doing any mistake by taking this new product into their organization. So designing your sales team, your sales approach is very crucial in the early days of your startup. You've done a lot of mistakes. We hired people thinking that it can be a quick sale. We had 6 to 8 people, and then we realized, okay, none of them are able to convert anything in the 3 months. We had to fire everybody, have to keep 1 or 2 salespeople. So don't do this kind of mistakes, right? Be it a B2C, B2B, understand, focus on particular segment, go into it in detail, or find a partner who has a good access into these details, right? So eventually what happens, you are not in any confusion, right? You are clear with your thoughts. This is what approach I will take. This is what my pricing will be. This is what my sales team will do. Or I will not have any sales team unless I understand this market. So what I strongly recommend to you as a founder is to make sure you don't hire a lot of salespeople without you understanding the sales challenges and obstacles. Henceforth, I strongly recommend to go through all my videos and understand what are the kind of challenges one will face in the Indian sales scenario.